from what I've seen from your videos, you kind of focus on, life experiences and how that kind of shapes, I guess, who we are today. I meant to get more into that one video that you posted. You're interviewing I don't know if he's homeless or, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure. I shot that video. His name's Bob. I shot that video in 2017. So that was the first ever bit of content I tried to make. And you can see how amateur it was, just
Right.
because it was shot on a little GoPro, and I was so anxious and nervous and not the person I am now. Just,
Right.
you have to start somewhere.
Right.
But I'm very proud of it in the weirdest way, because it was just my first go at it. Why? What were you going to ask?
Well, no, I was thinking about for me, like, would I have the sense of comfort or like the confidence to do that kind of thing? So I appreciated, I guess, also like from a human perspective, like you sitting down talking and like getting to know a person that, most often a person would just kind of walk past them. And actually taking the time to like engage with a person on a human level, as opposed to no, I don't have any change, just leave me alone kind of thing. Like, I live about an hour away from New York City, and that's kind of like the social survival when you go into the city is you see a person on the street holding a sign or whatever, and you don't even look at them necessarily, and you kind of lose touch with humanity in that regard, because this is a person existing in that spot, and that most likely is going to be where they're going to be sleeping that night. And unfortunately, the thing you're taught pretty quickly is like, don't engage with them, don't look at them, because it's going to either cause trouble or, they're going to want something from you, etc. And I don't know. It's just such a conflicted approach to dealing with humanity. You see a person in suffering in clearly very difficult times, and if that somehow were me, what kind of resentment or bitterness would I feel towards humanity in that regard?
From what I know of homeless people's interaction, one of the things they find most difficult is being ignored and someone looking at them and then looking away. And that is generally the approach that most people in society take, because you're trained to think, oh, this guy doesn't know how to do life, therefore he must be dangerous or not worth talking to, or something like that. And the truth is, they're just people like us who haven't managed to adapt. And I see myself in them because of my own experiences in life with my mother and the abuse that I went through. And I started filming a documentary in 2021. I cycled from where I live in near Amsterdam in the Netherlands to southwest England, interviewing homeless people along the way. And every single person that I spoke to, every homeless person, had been abused, been neglected by a caregiver or a parent, and hadn't learnt to love themselves. They'd learnt that they weren't worth anything, that they were not valuable to people, to society, and they're kind of pushed into the sidelines. And so I see myself in that, and I see you in that as well. And I see lots of people who have struggled with mental health issues in the same spot, but for some reason they haven't, or we haven't, fallen into that category. I have been close to being homeless, and I don't have any family. I don't have any real support network other than my partner, just because of all my abuse. So I can empathize with them,
Sure. Yeah. And that's, I was thinking too about like, when my kids get older and we eventually go down to the city, invariably, I'm sure we're going to see, a homeless person or two in the city. And kids are naturally curious, and they want to know, they might want to know about that person, or why are they on the street, or what does that sign say, or why do they look that way, basically, is I'm sure what will catch their attention. And and then or I might find myself reflexively going, don't go near that person, don't talk to them or whatever, just because that's like like I said, that's kind of the training that I got going into the city, was like, you don't engage. But yeah, there's that part of it that's like, I'm referring to a human being who, for one reason or another, or an unfortunate series of things, either the span of their life or in more recent times, what have you, who's on the street, and this is where they reside. And unfortunately for them, their options are limited to like, would you want to go to like a homeless shelter where most likely you're going to get your stuff stolen, or you might get abused, or you might get assaulted in some way? Or do you take your risk living out in the elements? And how is, I guess for me in my head, I'm like, how is society, how are we kind of okay with that? And also you see, I don't know about you, but in where I live, like, they have benches that are specifically designed so that you can't lay on them. Like, they'll have like a bench that's the length of like a 6-foot person, let's say, but there's a handlebar in the middle of it so that you can only sit, you can't lay on it. There's architectural designs set up so that a person can't lean against something, they can't lay on something. Police, harassing them, or let me see your identification and all that stuff. And just a very cold and cruel approach to a problem that society kind of overlooks because we, for one reason or another, it's just I don't want to deal with this and I don't want this in my area kind of thing.
And for me, that's almost exactly what I'm trying to get at, is that people who live on the streets, or homeless people, anyone with mental health issues, someone who can't get a job, they have come from a terrible background where they've been abused or neglected or made to feel that they're not loved. And so they choose to stay away from people. They see people as dangerous, or they believe that they don't deserve a home, so they don't chase one. There are lots of non-profits and charities that get millions and millions of dollars every year from governments all over the world to look after homeless people and take them off the streets and keep them safe and give them places to take drugs safely.
Right.
But they're not actually serving the problem. They're not actually curing the problem. And actually, they don't want to cure the problem because they get millions and millions and millions of dollars, euros, pounds every year for these sort of facilities. So they actually don't care about serving homeless people, in a sense.
Yeah.
The only way to help people is to prevent it happening in the future to other people. And that's what I'm going after. It's a very tricky problem. And with perception in society that they are dangerous, they must be avoided, don't look at them, don't talk to them, they'll harass you. People fail to engage and understand where their problems have really come from. And as I said, it's just like you and us.